sense that they brought Obasanjo and made him the president when the Southwest were actually struggling for that position to come to them because of the price they have paid. They made the decision, not the Yorubas. And then it came down to Jonathan becoming the president. Jonathan became the president, and I say this loud and clear, by no act of human interference. God used us, but I mean, it was so destined because the man was the governor, and wanting to become the governor of Bayelsa State before, of course, the decision was made to knock Odili of Rivers State at that time, out of the game and bring Jonathan in, which was a shock for all of us. At least I'm not a politician, so I mean, it was a shock for me and a lot of politicians. But because of their mago and their accepting this and accepting that, it came to be that Jonathan was the vice president. And then sadly, Yaradua died, and Jonathan served out Yaradua's tenure. Now, that's not an elective position. That is a position that was constitutional. The elective position was 4 years. And so, if you now look at it from the position of North-South, it means that the North, through Yaradua, had served 3 years. Jonathan finished this year, and then Buhari took over and served 4 years and won another election, we're told, and is now going to finish another his second tenure, which should bring it to the South. Now, the impression that we have to beg the North and we have to appeal to the North to allow it to come to the South is not acceptable. It's not a matter of appealing. It's a matter of acceptance that it has gone to the North under Buhari for 8 years. And the Yorubas are the vice presidents in this Buhari's dispensation for 8 years. And so if you also calculate that Jonathan have done one tenure of elective presidency, and if you look at all the things that people are wanting, some Igbos want Biafra, Yorubas, some Yorubas want Odudua, some want to stay in the way things are in the Niger Delta. Some of us want self-determination, whether in or out of Nigeria. For me, it doesn't really matter as long as I am able to decide make my political decisions. And so if we are being fair, I mean the South is being fair to itself, which includes the Yorubas, the Igbos, and the ethnic nationalities of the Niger Delta. My position is this, and that's what I'm canvassing, because I have only one vote. But my position is this. If the Southwest have governed for 8 years as presidency, and the Niger Delta have governed for 4 years, if you are now saying everybody should have 8 years of 4 year, one tenure sort of thing, you can say the Niger Delta have governed for one tenure, 4 years. Now, if you say that the Niger Delta people have only 4 years left, then if you want to argue that you should go to the Niger Delta, are you now saying that the Niger Delta will only do 4 years? So what I'm saying for me is that that argument should be kept on hold for now. The clarity is that the Southwest have governed for 8 years. The South have governed for 4 years, plus the Yaradua 1 year. So you can say 5 years for the sake of argument's sake. Then the remaining people at the Southeast, if you look at independence to today, the Southeast have only governed for 3 years and 6 months. The Niger Delta have governed for 4 years. So we have still got 4 years, a few months about the Southeast. So my position is this: for the sake of equity and for the sake of moving forward, I am saying that the South-South and the Southeast and the Southwest should come together and make a decision as a region of southern Nigeria and accept that this should come to them first. Once they accept that, then they can decide amongst themselves for equity and justice who they think as politicians and as people, you and I, that will vote for them, who should really get it this time. Bearing in mind that the Southwest and the South-South, Niger Delta, have at least had it once or twice within this 1999 dispensation. I'm saying that if I have my way, and as you're asking me today, and I have already said it in the past so many times, I think that the people of Igbo alike should be able to by now know one or two or three or four of their sons or daughters that they believe can govern Nigeria on coming from the Southeast. Now, people say politics is a game of negotiation. Fine. Then it is on that basis, I think, that the South can negotiate with the North. So that as the North is saying, by the Constitution as we have it today, no region, no state can produce a president to govern Nigeria without an input or agreement or understanding by a percentage of voting and percentage of where these votes have, what's the percentage to come from each region or each state or whatever, that you can't achieve it only if the South votes for the South, and that you cannot achieve it only if the North votes for the North. So basically, therefore, the voting has to be broad-based, cut across Nigeria. So if then that is what we are looking at as a people, then I think the responsibility is not just only a responsibility of the politicians. It is a responsibility of the electorate to be involved in this discussion and to be able to push their politicians to, on the basis of party politics, to be able to choose a candidate of a particular place, in this instance of Southeast, for the APC and for the PDP. And I have said this very clearly, that I think it is a silly game that is being played when a political party will say, any political party will say that they have not decided where they will zone the presidency to. If you have not decided where you're going to zone the presidency for an election that is less than 18 months, I think, I believe that that is reckless and deceptive. You know, to say that you have not zoned it. It means you have zoned it, but you are afraid to tell us where you have zoned it.
Ms. Briggs, okay, I wanted to just interject here. We'll talk about the party politics later. But let me just ask you, because your submission was majorly on a broad sense of the southern region. Is there a legitimate reason why the presidency should be zoned to the southeast in particular?
Yes, I have said so by giving you the figures that have shown very clearly that even if we no longer want to look at zoning, the military by sheer force have, whether we like it or not, taken power and governed Nigeria for for at least 30 something years. That's just the military alone. And only, as I'm looking at my figures, only Ironsi that governed for 6 months was a non-northerner military to govern Nigeria. The rest of them were from the north that have governed Nigeria as military men. So if you take that aside, and then you come to this dispensation, this political dispensation that we are in now, that started in 1999, if you look at that, it is an accepted understanding that the presidency is zoned to the north, that has 3 zones, and they have to decide whom that zoning goes to. We don't decide for them, they decide for themselves. And I think it's unacceptable that the north seems to have the impression that they can decide where the presidency should go in the north by disassociating people from the middle belt and Christians from the north in the presidential choices that they make, candidates that they make, and still leave that position and come into the south and still decide whether they're going to give it to Tinubu, whether they will give it to Obasanjo, whether they will give it to Abiola, whether they will give it to Annkio Briggs, whether they will give it to Kingsley, whether they will give it to Pius. They have no such rights. Or whether they will give it to Goodluck Jonathan or Odili or Wike or whatever. You know, they have no such rights. That right, in my opinion, belongs to the South. And I'm saying that the South must make that decision. And my personal opinion on this, and bearing in mind that I am from the Niger Delta, and there are some people who are saying that that the Niger Delta also should contend, that already Tinubu is distributing rights after, of course, it has become clear to him that the promises that was made to him to make sure that the Niger Delta lost the election and that it went to Buhari, the promise that he would become the president in 2023 is becoming very clear that he may not become the president. So he's now distributing rice and beans. Fine. The thing is that the South should decide who they will, amongst them, who should take it. And I'm saying for equity and justice, it should be decided in favor of Igbo. But I also said in my last interview, I cannot drink Panadol for somebody else's headache. I'm just talking on justice and equity. At the end of the day, it is Igbo that will have to be able to decide. And if Igbo have not decided in 2021, November, which of their sons they are going to project in any political party, whether in APGA, APC, PDP, FENSIC, Panadol, anywhere they want to put their sons or daughters. If they have not decided yet, it's getting late. Igbo by now should be the ones that are driving the discussion that it should come to Southeast. The fact that the southern states, the 17 states of governors got together and said it must come to the South. I believe in that word must. I don't see why the governors should be made to feel as if they should tone the word down. The North does not tone their word down. Look at what Hakim Baba Ahmed said. You know, I mean, that the North is not prepared to be second-class citizen. So by so saying, he's saying that they won't be second-class citizens, but that it's all right for us to be second-class citizens. That's the meaning of what he has said. I think it should go to Igbo. But at the end of the day, Igbo have to come out and fight this fight for themselves before we can join, anybody can join them to support them. And I'm surprised that by now, we still do not have, or we're not seeing, or maybe they're hiding it, a firm personality, or 2 or 3 firm personalities that they will project to Nigerians, especially the southern part of Nigeria, to be able to choose a president from.
Now, just from your last statement, leads to my next question. From an unbiased view, despite the clamoring, can you say that the politicians from the region are actually ready to take over power? That's politicians from Southeast region talking about now.
My dear, if if the Southeast is doubting either the politicians or even the southeastern electorate and southern electorate as a whole, but specifically Igbo, if they are not, if they don't give the impression by now that they are ready to take over power and govern Nigeria as a Nigerian president, despite all the agitations we have going on. As you well know, there is no secret. I believe in self-determination. I believe in resource control. If we're able to have self-determination, I don't care who is the president of Nigeria. I wouldn't even bother to vote because it makes no difference for me who is the president of Nigeria, because the president of Nigeria cannot have a say in what's going to go on in my state outside of security and things like that, national security and things like that. So this question is for Igbo to answer. It's not for me to answer. I have no right to answer that question. The question must be answered by Igbo, and that is the answer that will make me to vote for them or not vote for them, because they have to be able to project somebody that we will see and say, yes, this person is such a person. Like in the last election, where we had Atiku going for the presidency against a sitting Fulani and northern president, and then you had Peter Obi as the vice president from the southeast. I mean, it's no secret. I worked towards and voted for that team. But of course, we all know what happened. But the point for me is that if after these 2 tenures of Buhari, any political party that says it will still zone the presidency to the north does not want anything good for Nigeria. You cannot zone the presidency back to the north under the argument that Southerners should not say that it must come to them. Of course, it must come to them. If it doesn't come to the south, where should we go to Mali? Should we go to Mali? Should we go to Niger? No, it should come to the south. Now, the Southerners must decide where it is going to go. It will be sickening for Southerners to see Tinubu running for president and then see an Igbo man or a Niger Delta man running for president. What nonsense is that? You see the Northerners, that's why they say the Northerners are very smart politically. No, they just made a very strategic decision. I don't know that is just being smart alone. They've made a strategic decision that is not personal, that no matter what happens. I read in the paper today, somebody was saying, Buhari, the Northerner was saying Buhari must go because Nigeria has collapsed under him. There is no Southerner that can say that and sleep in his house tonight. But the Northerner can say it. You know why? Because they don't even mean it. They just say it so that people will just get up and start saying, you see, I'm even young people, they abuse them. No, young people know they abuse and they know what they are doing. It's a strategy. And it's about time the South has a strategy. And I believe that if indeed we are not able to kick off that strategy, then quite honestly, we're wasting our time. And then we will just end up in a situation where the the call for Biafra will continue. The call for the Yoruba agitation will continue. The Niger Delta agitation in one form or the other will continue. The Middle Belt, and these people will just continue to control the powers, and that's just simply because we have accepted the boxes in which, let me distance myself and not follow, that our people have accepted to stay in those compartments that the North and the Fulani politicians have put them in. There is no reason why politics should be the way that it is in Nigeria, especially when the resources that is going to be used for this politics is coming from no other place but the South, and especially from my region when it comes to oil and gas. So you can't come and take things here, take it to Abuja, govern the country, and then tell me anything you like because you're in power. No, it's about time that our people speak up. It is better to speak up. Let people hear what you say. And then it doesn't work. At least people will say you spoke. Let our people do something. Let us speak. Let us take a position. Let us take a position. It's not every day people will talk, then politicians will now discuss amongst themselves, then they start dropping the word must and start talking about negotiation and negotiating this and negotiating that. Before you know it, they will raise one Igbo man that is not doing anything for the region or cannot do anything for Nigeria because that is how the world is. No, I don't think that it should be like that. That's in my opinion anyway.
All right, remember that you can join this conversation simply by raising the two hands, and I'll try to accommodate as much questions and comments as possible. Now, you've painted a very good picture, but how can the Igbos actually achieve this demand for presidency?
Wow. This is a question that the people who call themselves politicians should be able to tell us, that are first of all Southerners, and second of all specifically Igbo people. We have Igbo stalwarts that are in APC. We have PDP stalwarts that are of Igbo extraction in the two major political parties, and then of course at the state level, you cannot ignore APGA. If you look at that, and if the politicians are not able by now, as I said earlier, to have preempted this question that you just asked me, if Ndibu have not been able to preempt that question, then there's something seriously wrong. Look, the people who are talking from the Southeast that want the presidency for the Southeast should begin to hold discussions on national level. Let people be hearing them, what they will do if and when they get the opportunity to govern this country, which in my opinion should be in 2023. If people are not having that discussion, and we're having a discussion on our doubts that an Igbo man, I get so angry. Yes, the word angry is justified here. I get so angry when I hear people say they will not allow an Igbo man to be president. And I get even angrier when I actually hear it from Igbo people. Who are the people that will not allow? Even if they will not allow, let us see it happen, that they will not allow, so that we count that in our favor that they've done against. When you now say they will not allow, who are they? Ahmed, that spoke so disregarding the rights of Southerners by saying that the Southern governors, by the way that they said must, that he actually said that because they said so, that they will govern Nigeria for as long as they want to govern Nigeria. Maybe he can do that in his ancestral country. But he can't do that here in Nigeria, in my opinion. But then, I mean, I'm not arguing about presidency with him as a Niger Delta daughter and as an Igbo daughter. I'm not arguing with him. What I want is Niger Delta self-determination for the region and control of our resources. That is my primary focus. But as long as we are continuing to be part of Nigeria, then the discussion of politics of Nigeria, I will not abandon that discussion. I will partake in that discussion. Now, do I think it's a waste of time? Perhaps it is. Because you see, in Nigeria, we don't even know how many people we are. We have not had a census, and for almost 20 years or more. And you have people telling us Nigeria is 200 and something million people, and that 80% of that is in the north. How do you prove that? When did you do a last census? So people didn't die, people were not born. You just get up in the morning, then you say Nigerians are 200 and something million people, and that most of them are in the north. It's a lie. Most of them are not in the north. Most of them are in the south. If every state does their census by state of origin and local government, you will find that the people in the south are more. Because if you're doing census and you're doing it by state of origin, and you're doing it by local government, and you're doing it by community, you will see that even half of the people that they claim they are not even up to half of the people that they are claiming that they are. You know, so there are so many things that need to be done. And these are some of the things that the next president should even be discussing. The issue of the constitution. Look, you cannot really make any changes, reasonable changes that would be useful to the South in the National Assembly unless you have a new constitution. You can't even have a new constitution unless you amend the old constitution. So instead of amending the constitution, like in the 2014 National Conference, we agreed on a hell of a lot of things that should be done and changed in Nigeria. And you know that by the time we agreed on one topic, you will find that you can't go further than agreeing on it because the constitution is already blocking it. So now, by the time you agree to change, to amend the constitution, for instance, to allow state police, for instance, you will see that by the time you make those changes, you already have the skeleton of a brand new constitution. And that's why they don't want to touch the 2014 recommendation. It has nothing to do with whether Jonathan was able to do anything or was not able to do anything. It has everything to do with the fact that following the agreement we had and the recommendations that were made in the 2014 National Conference, if we do that, obviously the South will get the majority of the things that it knows is in its interest, and that the North is going to lose all these unjust and unfair things that they have accumulated for themselves through the 1999 Constitution. You know, so these are things that we, the electorate, should be hearing by now, so that we can begin to have hope and begin to look forward to, if this government refuses to restructure Nigeria now, we can begin to hope that the next president, we will find ourselves in a position where we will get a president that will agree with us to restructure Nigeria. For me, in my opinion, and I've said this publicly, the North, when it comes to, when I say the North, I don't include the Middle Belt, but the cabal that is holding on to Nigeria, the political power of Nigeria, have no intention of handing over power in 2023. So even all this discussion of 2023 is just semantics. It's something we have to discuss. It's something we cannot ignore, so that let them not say that, let the world not say that we didn't discuss it and we didn't raise it. But do I think that that the North wants to continue in power? Of course they do. They said so. They said so. So for them to say today, they say no, they are talking with Igbo people. The youths of the North will say they are talking to Igbo people. Which Igbo people are they talking to? Are they talking to Kingsley? Are they talking to Peter Obi? Who are the people that they are talking to? Are they talking to Ohanese? Are they talking to Igbo World Congress? Who are they talking to in Igbo land about the Igbo presidency? It's all a deceit. It's all a trick that our people continue to fall for, but I don't fall for it.
Okay, I can see Mr. Lumba's hand up. Remember that you can join the conversation simply by raising the digital hand. We'll try to take as much questions as possible. Mr. Lumba, your hand is up.
There is always to actually, one, what is the basis for saying that the North is not ready to relinquish power in 2023? Any basis for that assertion?
The latest one is the one I just referred to, that Ahmed said, that because the South says that the presidency should come to the South, and because it's used the word must, that they, okay, now let them see how we will get it. They are prepared to hold on to power. I don't know what you call that. I don't know. I mean, are they going to write a letter to us before we know that they're not ready to relinquish power? And is he the first person to have said it? There are people in the North that make these statements all the time. You know, all you need to do is Google it. And then we should stop doubting these utterances that come from the North. And we should stop doubting our genuine response to these utterances that come from the North, particularly what I refer to as the cabal. And let me make this point. I've been I was quite young. I remember the independence of Nigeria. I come from a political family, and so I was bred on politics. I hear politics in the morning. My uncles, people were involved in politics, so I understand politics very well. Started from my community all the way up to the federal level. And one thing I do know is this, and the politics I have understood in Nigeria is that, and it is actually across the world, but in Nigeria, there will continue to be an attitude from the North that they will have the last say in politics. And something led up to that. And then there is this attitude in the South of an acceptance that no matter what we do, that they will have the last say. And we have no choice but to eventually follow the line. Again, I distance myself. And mind you, I'm just one person. But I was raised to believe that I definitely have a right to stand with what I believe in. It can't be wrong that I have a right to stand with it until I decide to change my mind. And as long as that change is not about compromising my position as a person and compromising my people for any reason, the interest of my people rather, for any reason whatsoever. My brother, we should stop asking ourselves, I think journalists do this a lot. actually, and I think I see why they do it in Nigeria, particularly. Where you're going to be pushed to the corner to almost say, "How did you get to hear it?" All you have to do is Google. Buhari is on record as saying that he will, as long as he is alive and breathing, that every state in Nigeria must have Sharia law in that state. Now, tomorrow, a journalist may ask me, what do I have to prove it? What do I have to prove it? Google it. Google it is there. The statement is there. So what we're talking about is how do we, as a people, get to be equal? We're equal to the North when it comes to the rights and the opportunity to partake in politics, as long as we agree that we're doing it as Nigerians, equal Nigerians. Now, I will not accept, I would rather fight to be a president of Nigeria, justifiably so, than to be cowed into being picked as a preferred candidate of the North. Then I'm not a president of Nigeria. I have been picked by people I do not agree on their method and the way that Nigeria is governed.
All right. This last statement leads to my second question. If we do agree that politics is not given a la carte, to my knowledge, was there any time that the whole North gathered together and say, we will give the presidency to Buhari? Or that Buhari, over several years, more than a decade, worked his way in campaign, lost, campaign, lost. So that's why I said, will Igbo have a meeting and say, you don't give Igbo presidency? So that the question is, if politics is where an individual does a political coalition, campaign, and convinces his political opponents to say, look, you should give this to me. Is there any reason why Nigeria should go on the meeting and say, okay, let us give this presidency to Ndi, instead of saying to an Onyibo who has campaigned for the presidency and convinced others to give it to me? Are we seeing that happening now? Is there an Onyibo we can now say, yes, this Onyibo is campaigning and working hard to convince Nigerians to allow him to become the president?
So are we saying by this question that because using Buhari's circumstances as a right circumstances,
you because can visit Abiola, for instance. No, Abiola. Let us give it Abiola. Or did Abiola?
Allow me to answer the question. I understood your question. I'm making my point. My point is this: if you count the number of times Buhari has attempted to be president of this country, I think nobody has attempted as many times as he has attempted to be president of Nigeria. I stand corrected. I could be wrong. When you mention Abiola, how many times did Abiola want to become the president of Nigeria? So the comparison, in my opinion, is not balanced. Now, so because Peter Obi or Kingsley or Pius Anyim have not campaigned, or our sister, the lady in the World Bank or wherever, yes, because people like that, quality people, have not campaigned for as many times as Buhari has campaigned. What does that mean? That Buhari, as a matter of fact, that Buhari tried for 3 times and failed, and then ended up winning an election under a circumstances and situation where there was a serious gang up. There was the party he belonged to at that time, before they formed a coalition that brought in all this craziness, He could not have won an election if he had gone with that party, very obviously. There was a gang up. There was a political gang up. There was a rejection of the fact that there was a Niger Delta president that had a very high percentage of support from the southeast and the south. And then, of course, the Tinubu did what he did, and the gang up succeeded. Now, are we saying by this question that you have asked, just because Ndi Igbo have not found themselves in a position where one particular son or daughter may have gone for the presidency over and over again, what type of structure do you think Buhari has? Even had before he won the election? He had no structure. What structure did he have, even as a person? He's not Buhari is not a Democrat. He said he's a repentant Democrat. So he was,
because our time is so that
that what?
So that moderator will not say I'm taking too much time. Let me rephrase my question. I really want to get an answer. Okay. The point of my question is this. Today, you mentioned Bola Tinubu has set up a campaign structure. You say he's giving out rights and now trying to convince you to allow him to become president. You can also see an article. You can see an article now also building up a structure, campaigning, trying to tell Nigeria, I want to be the president for 2023. Is there an Igbo equivalent now building up a structure, telling Nigerians, look, seriously, I want to be president in 2023? That is the essence of my question, not about how many times you did it.
But you mentioned how many times you did it. That's why I dwelled on that. Now, when you're talking about the structure that Tinubu is doing and Atiku is doing, let me also, because I just saw a message here that somebody said that they are not understanding what Ms. Briggs is saying. Either they have come in late, they didn't start from where we started, or they are politicians who definitely are not going to work in the interest of the aspiration that the presidency should come first to the South. And that, in my opinion, I believe that the Southeast should have a go at it. At no time am I suggesting that it should be packaged and ribbon tied and given to the Southeast. I said at the beginning of this conversation that it is up to the Southeast to project themselves for this position. I've said this over and over again. It is up to them. I'm not fighting for a presidency from the Southeast. I cannot take Panadol for somebody else's headache. But I was asked about my opinion, and this is my opinion now. The fact that you are pointing out that the obvious, which is that there is no Southeast son or daughter who is setting up structures, who is distributing rights, who is distributing money or whatever. It reduces, it's a shame that politics in Nigeria, this is what politics in Nigeria has been about and is about, and sadly will continue. And that's why at the end of the day, I fall back to the insistence or the belief that it won't work unless Nigeria, the way Nigeria is, there are certain people that want the status quo to remain. If the status quo remains, there are people who would eventually abandon Nigeria, and rightfully so. But there are people who will not be able to abandon Nigeria, and they are more in the hundreds of millions than they are in. Most of the people listening to us now are probably from outside of Nigeria, but they are Igbo or they are Nigerians at best. So if there are no Igbo candidates that Nigerians can see, as I said, almost a year and a half to election, you cannot blame Nigerians if they don't vote for you tomorrow. Now, there are people who will say, oh, we supported, Ndigo supported Jonathan. Now, Annkio's people are not supporting Ndigo. But I'm the first person that is Igbo that I believe it is justified and equitable that the South should agree to zone it to the Southeast. But the Southeast themselves are not, by your questions, the Southeast themselves may not be prepared. Well, that's not my problem. If the Southeast is not prepared, it's the problem of the Southeast. You saw, everybody in Nigeria saw how I fought for Jonathan, not because I stand to gain anything from it, but I believe that it was justified for it to be so. Why shouldn't the Niger Delta person govern Nigeria? What does it take to govern Nigeria? Why shouldn't an Igbo man be voted for by the rest of Nigerians if the Igbo man projects himself and comes up with what is a solution or looks like a solution to the Nigerian problem? But again, it's entirely up to Igbo people. You can't say, we're not going to come and project somebody for you.
Okay, I can see Mazi Okoye. Mazi Okoye, kindly unmute.
Yeah, thank you, Augusta. Thank you, Annkio. I think while listening to you, I was feeling that this argument is not being framed, in the right way. Just, okay, zone to the southeast, zone to the south, just for the mayor, where somebody may come from, because this has a lot of ethnic coloration to it. And we know that in Nigeria, a lot of people are occupying, places of power which they do not merit. So this issue of zoning, I don't think will solve the problem we are looking to solve without acting the factor of merit. Does Igbo people merit this presidency zone to them? Because as Dan was trying to say, there is no Igbo man at the time being that actually is acting on merit to occupy that seat. That's why you have a lot of mediocre, like Buhari in power right now, lording it over everybody, because the people that merits being in that position are not standing up to occupy it. So it is a problem. I think the argument has to be framed on merit, that Igbos merited this not because we are being hard done by, because we fought the Civil War and then got excluded from the governance of the country. So should we have a merited argument why things has to be done, rather than just talking, in terms of ethnicity, where one comes from? Because Nigeria has this problem, of everybody, running to their corner and then screaming, okay, give it to us, without actually saying, okay, this is why we should have it. This person is qualified to have it. I was thinking, when you're talking about stalwarts of Igbo extraction, I was thinking, okay, yeah, we have a lot of, stalwarts that can, take this mantle and take Nigeria forward. But going down the list, you have to count Soludo out now, because he has become the governor of Anambra State. Who else? Peter Obi. Peter Obi has a lot of baggage, even with the recent expose by the Pandora Papers. His exploits is all over the place now. So I don't think he's having that, motivation to put himself forward. He has a lot of cold feet because of the baggage he's carrying. Or is he Mai or Hope Uzodima, or who else is there? You mentioned Ngozi and the rest of it. So I don't see that stalwart as you mentioned. that actually they can stand upright with their heads up and speak on merit. This is what is lacking in Igbo land. I'm an Igbo man, but I have to tell you the truth about, how I feel about how, how our people are taking politics. I don't want things to be given to us like that, because it actually can be detrimental to us if somebody is just handed down to anybody because it's an Igbo man. I don't want that. I want somebody on merit to stand up with his head held high and make his point. That's my own problem with this argument, where we have to talk about something without the merit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Okoye. Let us hear from Shindo before we allow the guests to reply. I've asked you to unmute, kindly unmute.
Thank you so much. I hope your internet is not. Can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you. I'd like to take off from where Okoye let do that. Let me to Annkio Briggs. I mean, I don't know who the argument is, but that perspective. I really hope that this meeting is being recorded. Annkio, you be working on an essay around the whole concept Igbo presidency. You have provided enough for me a brilliant argument. So the last, I think there is a serious thing of what the Nigerian situation. We face the crisis. Our country tip over in the maximum. If drastic, it's not done. You're talking about merit. Since Niger ended, from the first time this country, the Prime Minister, and when the issue of merit ever been in the president of Nigeria, and we're talking about merit. The issue of Nigeria has always been given on a platter by the owners of Nigeria, of Nigerian PLC. Came prime ministers, prime minister of this country, those who oppose the independent struggle for the country. And then in Nigeria, check whether you're talking about Tanzania and Nigeria, that forefront of the colonial, the emancipation of their various get power. And because that's why we are in the mess where Nkrumah succeeded. President, Prime Minister, and shaped Ghana to the image for Ghanaian liberation. Happened in Tanzania. So what I'm saying, what has happened, the Civil War, and I'm Igbo, even though it's not a priority because of my own struggle, I do not want to religion or those things don't matter. But the truth is, Nigeria is concerned. Paramount issue too. There are people who constitute about 1% of the population of the country have been edged out because as the the war ended, they declared language for millions of people. That check of no victim is a dot check. You can't take it anywhere in the country. Important that we treat the question this whole idea, is it Buhari using Jonathan? I don't think there are fundamental. Yes, please.
Chindo, you keep breaking up. I'm not sure the guest actually gets your question. Okay, please go ahead.
All right, sorry. So I'm to round up that we need to attend with the question that has survived justice. We need first, before we start talking about competence or nobody Nigeria can them of Nigeria the way Nigeria constituted and let the sound terms we call it. Even if you bring run Nigeria the way it's presently, there's no way that they are running well. With that argument aside, with fundamental existence. And how do we deal with that? The way we can deal with that is to ensure equity, to ensure that else himself feels. And now just to end, I'll hand the go. I arrived after a trip I came in from I arrived in the airport, and because I was wearing a T-shirt at front, the title of a book 2016, and I was reporting. And the first thing the SS officers arrested their office. The first, you are a Biafran, bring this, you have a Nigerian passport. I almost died of you arrest a Nigerian citizen. I'm wearing a T-shirt. We are all a Nigerian passport. And you ask me that you are a Biafran. Do you have a Nigerian passport? That this country is finished. And I am a Nigerian, have a Nigerian passport. There's no country like he said, that's not what is written. I'll end my case there.
Thank you. Let's listen to the guest before we take the last question from the media.
All right. First of all, merit. Merit is to be good at something, to be worthy or deserving of something. That's what merit is. So now, when you say merit, I do not think that the elections of Nigeria are conducted on the basis of merit. That's one. Two, if they are conducted on the basis of merit, in my opinion, Buhari would not have won the first election, not to talk about the second election, if we're talking about merit. Because now, looking at what has transpired under his government, and why it is justified that other people should have a go. I am horrified, and I will be horrified if really the whole of Igbo will present themselves as not being good enough. That is to say that there cannot be one Igbo son or daughter that can be good enough to be considered to have merited to be voted for into the presidency at any time in the future. Now, am I the one who's going to pick an Igbo son or daughter that will merit the vote, my one vote? No, I'm not the one who's going to pick. They are the ones who are going to pick. And I'm trying not to hook onto the fact that this argument came from Okoye, who quite rightly said that he's an Igbo man, and also I do know that he also does not live in Nigeria. Correct me if I'm right, as we do, and go through. As I'm talking to you, I have my generator on, and sometimes my internet fluctuates. Okoye does not have an internet that fluctuates. My internet fluctuates. He does not own a generator. I own a generator. I don't mean the one you have in your house here when you visit. I mean wherever you live. You don't have a generator in your backyard because you will be sued for noise pollution. See, let's be fair. Let's be fair to us. Let's be fair to people like me that live here in Nigeria and do endure what we endure. Even the way I'm speaking, not a lot of people can talk the way I'm talking. And even in my, I've discussed with Mazi this thing in the past. And you see, Mazi, what I was discussing with you is playing out here. And maybe your question will be along those lines as well. That at the end of the day, hey, my brother, if the Igbo people don't think that they have somebody to merit being nominated in a political party, to have the opportunity to see whether the North will vote for an Igbo man or not, if they don't think that they have somebody good enough. I can tell you that we have good enough people in the Niger Delta here, and when they emerge, I work for them. Hey, why not? And to say that we should not ethnicize what we're discussing. I think even in America, there is ethnicity. There is all these things that blacks and Indians and people like that suffer in America. I don't think that is any different from what the Southerners and Christians are suffering here are going through here in Nigeria. Now, to have the courage to be able to say, well, it's risky, but I don't accept this, and I don't have to accept this. I think that is I merit to be able to say that. At the bottom line of it all, Okoye, you're not the only person. We may be few, but you're not the only person who has the opportunity to look into Nigeria from outside and then be able to constantly, and I've been on many programs with you, to constantly be able to almost condemn the people who are suffering the injustice that we're suffering here, as we not being able to do enough to get ourselves out of this situation. No, we're trying, and to think that there can be any Igbo man who would think that even by ethnicity alone, that an Igbo man does not deserve to be the president of Nigeria in 2023. What merit? What did Obasanjo merit? He went to jail and they brought him out. What is Tinubu meriting? That he's distributing rice that they are packaging with his picture. Is that how he's going to govern Nigeria? They're just going to continue what they are doing. I believe that in the Niger Delta we have people that can run for that position, and when they come up, definitely I will support. But I want you to remember that I first started by saying that the Igbos deserve the slot on political parties. Now, whether the Igbos think they have a good enough candidate or not, that's not mine to choose, even though my grandmother, my father's mother is Igbo. It's not my choice to make. It is the choice of Igbo people to make. And lastly, my brother that spoke about what happened to him at the airport, you can't tell him that he cannot identify, push his ethnic nationality, because that thing was done to him purely because he's an Igbo man. That was why. Immediately they knew he's an Igbo man, and automatically he's Biafra. And my brother, okay.
All right, so thank you so much, Ms. Briggs. Let us hear from JJ Media.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
I can.
Okay. So I would start as follows. I can't see myself for some. Okay, I can now see myself. I'll start as follows. Quite on, I think when Chido was speaking, not many people really understood because his internet was breaking. Not many people really understood what he was saying. Now, when Chido was speaking, for many of you who didn't understand because of the break in his communication, he is the author of We Are All Biafrans, and he made a T-shirt. If you Google the book, if you want to buy the book, I believe the book is on Amazon. And he wore a T-shirt that had the title of his book. And when he landed at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, he was arrested. Now, it shows you how silly and idiotic those who are in the fray to govern you or in the security sectors are. One, if they are a reading people, they would have known that that book came out and that book made wave and that book was reviewed all over the place. Sadly, none of them read it and they don't even know who he was. And he was arrested. The rest is history. Now, to come to what the discussion of this evening, ideally, my position would be that I would not want to have a 2023 conversation. I would want us to renegotiate Nigeria from the way it is currently run and the way it is currently structured. Because, as the Ninas will say that Nigeria needs a brand new constitution. I do perfectly agree that Nigeria needs a brand new constitution, but be that as it may, for the benefit of the argument being canvassed here this evening, I'll state as follows. One, I do agree with my sister, Annkio Briggs, when she said that Igbo deserves a shot at the presidency. Again, that is not to say that they are begging to have a shot at the president, as the presidency. But to my good brother, Mazi Okoye, I will say, now, wow, because because I will be shocked if you are the one talking about merit, Mazi Okoye. Are you talking about merit? Let me take you slightly, moderator, pardon me. I will take my good brother down the memory lane. We had Shagari versus Ekweme in 1983, or rather 79. Please, can you tell me, a man who had a PhD in what I think in his fields of endeavor, I don't know what comparison he had with the one who eventually emerged as president. Now, if we recall in 2014, 2015, we had, and we still have, a man whom only by affidavit that we are able to get to anything that he ever academically achieved, only by affidavit, unless I am wrong. Now, and we have a professor of law. Please, my brother, if you place these two men and you want one of them to run your company, please be honest enough to tell me who you would want to run your company. Now, let's say Nigeria is a company, if we're ever serious. We have something called Nigeria PLC, and we are looking for a CEO to let the company grow, make money, and get dividend for shareholders. You tell me among these two men who you would pick. We talk about merit. I bring you back to the time of President Olusegun Obasanjo. Olusegun Obasanjo, comparatively, was he better than Olufalaye? Comparatively, was he better than the former, Attorney General that was shot and killed? But by the virtue of the military kakistocracy and the cabals, and they picked him up to say he was the one to represent their interest, to compensate him or the Yoruba region for the death of MKO Abiola. Now, I can go on and on. But if I come back to the real conversation that is about Igbo, now let me rail out these facts for you. If you go to the APC, which is the party in power, I believe if we want to stay within the Southeast, or as some people will say, the Igbos. Now, what does it mean? If we talk about Igbo, it does not equate only those within the Southeast. On my platform, last 2 weeks, we have established we have Igbos across and beyond the Southeast region of Nigeria. If we stay on that premise, then I'll state the following. In LPC, we have Dave Umahi, the best performing governor when it comes to projects, and the state that received a mega fund from the federal allocation DMO office. If you check the state that I have been to, does wonders with the little they receive under Dave Umahi, and he runs a fantastic project in that state that you could just wonder, are other governors sleeping? We have a gentleman and the first governor of Abia State, in the person of Ogbonnaya. He is a member of the APC, a gentleman. He is currently the Minister of Science and Technology. We have Onyama from Enugu State, Eke to be precise, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs. You have Rotimi Amechi, who is the Minister of Transportation, whom, again, yes, he is Ikwere, but also he is Igbo, because by his own admission that he is Igbo. And like in things fall apart, Okonkwo was told, do not bear hand in killing that child that calls you father. If he says, I'm one of you, then who are you to say he is not? Now, if we come back to the PDP, my good brother, we have Peter Obi, and you said that Peter Obi, because of the Pandora, box, newspaper, whatever it is, that he appears to be fidgeting. And I'm like, are you for real? Who is more qualified than him in that party? You can see how he has managed the affairs of Anambra State. You know, as we say in our place, from the smell of the fat, we would have an idea how the real deal will probably test. If he has been able to manage the affairs of Anambra State in a manner that still yet unmatched, you ask yourself, is he not qualified to govern Nigeria? And again, I believe he has also defended the issue of Pandora. Again, I think there is about 45 minutes video on Arise TV that anyone who wishes to can actually go to Arise TV on YouTube and watch his defense, which I do honestly believe the things he said therein. Now, if we come also there, we have Ike Kuremadu, who was the former Deputy Senate President. We have Anyim Pius Anyim. I mean, these are, let's stay within the realms. And now, I do not, and I have not, for emphasis mind, called certain names, even within the parties, and those we could consider that if we talk about Ndi Igbo should bring their first 11, that I personally do not consider them our first 11. If you talk about those who are non-politicians or who are, or maybe belonging to other political parties, you talk about Professor Kingsley Moghalu, a man of deep intellect, a man of great understanding what it means to be a president of a nation, and you tell me that Igbo do not have what it takes to drive Nigeria. My brother, come on, I do disagree with you. And again, lastly, my good brother, we have Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, our wife, Abia State. And she's, if we do not think she's qualified to govern Nigeria, but the world thinks she's more than good enough. Let's stop beating ourselves down, my good brother. We are good enough to rule the world and not only to govern Nigeria. On that note, I rest my case and I yield my mic. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I can see Mazi Okoye hand is still up. Mazi Okoye, please try to be very brief while you're making your submission.
I'll be very brief. I think Mazi, Ezeoke, and Annkio Briggs actually misunderstood my position, and I'll try to make it clear. The names that he listed, my argument was that Igbos hasn't got people that merited the presidency. I believe Dan was making the same point. Why are they not, putting themselves out there to make that case? That is the
okay,
argument.
sorry, can I respond to you then?
That is the argument. Why are they not putting themselves?
It's unfair. No, sorry, it's unfair. Professor Simfulin Mogalu is the only person, for instance, that have declared and told you, I want to run, and he has written a book, and you're telling me that Igbo are not making themselves available. I mean, how?
I know he's putting himself out
Is
there.
he Hausa or is he Fulani? Is he not Igbo? So why would you make such clarification?
Hold on, Mazi. He's not the one that we are looking at the time being, in terms of, okay, who's going to be the president of Nigeria? Because by assumption, we believe that the two major parties are the one that will produce the president. So Moghalu going for a lesser party that is not, that wouldn't give him that, is almost counted out. So we are looking at the two main parties. Who is there that will take that mantle and make that case there? Who is doing it? Nobody's doing it. That is my argument. Because you have, like our people say, you cannot just sit and expect things to be thrown on your lap like that. Even Moghalu, as you said, he's a bit lackluster in his approach of the whole thing, of this whole presidency. He's not showing that fire. He's not showing that, actually, to my mind, he's not showing that, although he's a professor, he's well qualified, but compare his attitude towards campaigning, compare his attitude towards campaigning to Soludo's campaigning for Anambra State election. You will see the marked difference in that. So I don't see that fire and that zeal to make an impact, because you can't just sit around and make comments. There's something else added to a statement. Okay. We're looking for a statesman. That is why Buhari actually has, won the presidency, because he has that little bit of, although he's dumb and stupid to an extent, but experience has taught him to has that general appeal. That's why he wowed the Southwest to himself. That's why the Southwest, accommodated him. And we have to have that kind of statement.
Sorry, you're wrong, my brother. No. You know why? No, sorry. You know why? The Southwest Buhari did not woo the Southwest. If you don't know, on this platform, Professor Patu Tumi made the following revelations when he was approached by Bisi Akonde and Tinubu on how they went to T.Y. Danjuma and how they eventually went around in order to convince Buhari to run. Again, not Buhari going to them too. They went and they convinced him because of something. The rest is history. Now, please, I don't want to say I'm taking exception, but it is unfair to the person of Professor Fensuru Mogalu to say he's not on fire to run for presidency. So until he pours petrol on himself and leads the march, before you know that he's serious. How else can somebody be serious that a man who has written a book on his manifesto, made it free for you to download and read and ask him questions? Now, a man who is traversing the whole Nigeria 2 years ahead of an election, telling anyone, at least personally, I have had him on a platform 2 times to ask him questions. A man who does all these things. Now, if you go, without being just particular on each of them, but like each of them, I can tell you what they are doing. But if you, that ought to know better, think that for someone to be running for presidency is to go and do 50 kg, 20 kg rice.
There's a point you're missing, Mazi. We cannot send the president to a particular individual. We need that competition amongst them as Igbos as well. You know, to be able for them best.
No, but the election is in 2 years' time. The election is in 2 years' time, and you're bringing so Professor Soludo's.
A little bit intermediate. I'm sorry to cut you short. I think we're getting a little bit sentimental here. Please remember that you are talking only when I call on you. Let's try not to cut each other. Into the media, please go ahead.
Okay, so my good brother, the thing here is, this is the way I look at it. I think I do understand what you're saying in terms of competition, but I also do think that you are missing something to understand that the election, in the ideal sense, in the ideal world, we're still talking about something further than 15 months ahead of time. That we have people who are showing us as should be today. We have people whom we should be questioning, but they are probably printing stuff and giving people beans, 20 kg, and we take that to be yeto. The person in question or the people in question have not come out to say, I am Mr. ABC. I am running for presidency. And we think and we take them serious more than the person who has said, my name is so person. I am interested to run for presidency. Now, he hasn't said I'm running for presidency because of Ndibo. No, he said, I am running for presidency. I want to run for presidency based on my capacity, understanding what is at stake, knowing that I can do this job more than those that have been doing this job. And our sister Annkio Briggs is here is saying, I have 1 vote only. If, in my understanding, if I want to recap what she said, in my understanding, I should think based on equity. Let what was done in 1999 to bring peace to the Yoruba nation by the virtue of the agitation and what was happening. If after Obasanjo's tenure, there was this argument, power has to return to the north, and power went back to the north. In her argument, she says, if after 8 years, power being in the north central, that power has to come to the south. That is the basics of her argument. And if you remember, our close good friend, Obidaya Melafia, also, when he was alive, when we had this conversation, he also agreed that if power must come, if in 2023, power must and should come to the south. And what our sister Annkio is saying, if power now comes to the south as been argued, that in her proposition, she's only saying, okay, let's look at it since 1999. The Yorubas have had, because invariably when power comes, it's a matter of negotiation. The Yorubas have had for 8 years. The South, some could argue for 5 years, argue for 4 years, depending on how you want to play the game. But she's now saying, because she's from South, and because we have had a taste, the Yorubas have had a taste. But how come if 3 regions mix the South, it will be unfair? Not that if we leave it open, if it comes to fit fight, that the Southeast cannot fight for them, but they say for the sense of equity to make me and you believe that you belong, can I yield and let us negotiate and get this for this person? I mean, that's the argument I'm hearing from her. And I think, like I said at the beginning, for me, if we can pack all these 2023 and begin to talk about the structure, well, let us actually look at the structure and ask ourselves the basic question: are we even going to exist as a country? If we cannot exist as a country, or if we must exist as a country, how are we going to exist? The constitution that was given to us, that says, we the people, I cannot know and I do not know any of you here in this room, outside this room, that was part of those that are being put and yanked together in the preamble that says, we the people. I'm looking for the people. I haven't seen the people. I am not among the people that agreed on the 1999 Constitution. That's actually my own part of the argument. Again, for the sake of what the discussion having this evening, I would want to agree with myself and her submission. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mario, you have just a minute to reply. I mean, our interview is already extending to nearly 2 hours now.
Yeah, thank you, Augusta. I think the whole argument has degenerated into, on the ethical lines, like Annkio Briggs was saying, that in the States, that everything is about ethnicity and what might have you. To my mind, it's not quite, as clear cut as you might want it to be here in the West than how it is, how it's pronounced, how ethnic and sentiment is in Nigeria. So if we go down this line and keep on emphasizing these ethnic lines, we might as well go with Mazia's argument. Let us renegotiate Nigeria so that all the ethnic groups go their own separate ways, instead of having this argument of, okay, let's zone this one, zone that one. Even if the person that you zone it to is an incompetent person, then you start thinking about zoning a whole country to an individual, because that's what soon is going to boil down to. Because soon we start talking about, okay, let's zone it to this family, let's zone it to this one or this that. This to me is not. We shouldn't be having this argument, because we talk about equity. How is that equitable to zone it to a particular? Because at the end of the day, it's a particular individual that has to take that post. It's not the ethnic group that has to take that position. So to me, the concept of zoning is flawed democratically. It's not what it's not the argument we should be having, even with bringing into the equation the equity side of it. Because to my mind, the person that eventually takes that post, there's no guarantee that that person will do a great job. Or are you just zoning it just to feel a sense of belonging? Why? What if the people that ethnic group become even more alienated at the end of the day because you zone it to the wrong individual? What if they become even more desperate, like people in Zamfara, where Buhari came from, are desperate at the moment? What if that happens?
It's not from Zamfara. Buhari is not from Zamfara. It's from Katsina.
Katsina, wherever he come from. That's
zone it first.
My point is,
zone it first and leave the argument for them.
That becomes actually a burden to the people that you zone it to.
Don't worry. Zone it to Igbo. We will gather stone and come to your house and beat your ass off if you don't do the right thing.
That's my own point. That's why I talk about merit. People should come out and make their argument on merit without this ethnic coloration to it. If an Igbo man stands tall, I'm not alone, and I'm not disputing the fact that Igbos don't have, well-to-do people. They're all over the place. I know a lot of them, but they're not making the argument like statement should make the argument for leadership. I don't see it. Maybe Mazi is seeing it, but personally, I'm not seeing it.
Okay, let us take the last person and we will allow the guests to round up. We'll allow the guests to react, then round up. Chima Christian, I can see your hand is up.
Yes, good evening and thank you for the platform. May I commend the Newsband Television for the important work they are doing. And I also thank Annkio Briggs for her erudite presentation this evening. I also want to pay respects to other contributors to the program. My argument is simple and I frame it based on the strength of the little work I've done and the experiences I've gathered from that work. I've spent the last 7 to 8 years doing field grassroots politics. And as such, I have started from the perspective of the puritanical, the idealistic kind of politician, now to a person having participated in at least 3 elections, deeply in the process. I've now formed a different opinion of how elections and governance is in Nigeria. First, there's a broad line between governance and politics. I've found that those who know politics don't seem to understand governance, and also those who know governance don't seem to know politics. That is why, for instance, one of the names my dear brother, Maazezoke, has mentioned, who is the only Igbo man that has declared up to date, Professor Kingsley Mohalo, while he's eminently qualified for the role, seem not to have a grasp of the system. For instance, both of us come from the same town. His political party sponsored a candidate in the last election that just happened in November 6th. That election offered him the opportunity to come down and campaign for his candidates, whilst doing so interact with Anambra electorate so they get to know him. He didn't. He has specially based his campaign on social media. And I did write this evening that Nigerian intellectuals seem to want power, but they don't want to get in the mud and do the heavy lifting that is required for such power. It's just as if they want to get rich quick. You want to appear every election year, paste a few posters, conduct 1 or 2 media interviews, post 1 or 2 things on social media, and then become the president, without seeing the hard work of mobilizing, of getting to know the voters. And afterwards, you will think that they will stay back to engage with the electorate to make them understand who they are. But they vote, they jet off, and they only to appear after 4 years, 6 months to the election to ask for votes. And then in the interim, they now begin to blame voters for having not voted them, seeing their level of academic prowess and other achievements they might have achieved in their lives. But I ask, how can voters who don't know you, don't know you, haven't heard anything about you, in many of the instances, cannot identify your party logo on the ballot, vote you? So that's one question I have for Nigerian intellectuals who intend to run, whether they be from Igbo extraction or not, because I want to see better improvement in the quality of candidates presented. But what I'm saying is that those of us who feel we have 1 or 2 things up here, who have written books, and I ask the person you're talking about that has written books, what demography, what percentage of Nigerian voters, the real people who come out on elections to vote, how many of them can read? And how many of them will feel motivated enough to go online to download a book of a presidential candidate to read it? And so that's that on that level. Then on the Igbo aspect of the question, while we have notable sons and daughters of Igbo extraction who are eminently qualified to lead Nigeria at this time, while the argument for zoning I support, because on the strength of equity, what I find is that we have not really treated this with all the seriousness it should demand from us. For instance, the single most dominant power broker in the South seemed to me to be the coalition of Southern governors, I think the 16 of them, who have made emphatic statements on who should lead Nigeria in 2023. I'd have expected Igbos to set up a lobbying group, to lobby that particular group, to microzone that same position to the Southeast. We should set up, you made mention of that. Then that's brilliant. I agree with that. And there should be an important lobby group that should lobby Southern Governors Forum and convince them to microzone that to the southeast. And then what I also see is that we have vast amount of wealth in the southeast, individual wealth. Individual wealth in the south is that you find many Southeasterners who are more than capable in terms of resources, media resources, money, even if it's sharing of rice or but whatever it is. Because Nigerian elections, sadly, have a formula. We will grow and outgrow this madness. But as at today, there are things you must have to apply yourself to win in Nigeria or to at least make a decent run at it. So we have people who can fund these things. Why they are reacting haltingly to the idea of 2023 is beyond my grasp. Apart from people running on social media, there is no grounded, serious-minded Igbo politician or a politician of Igbo extraction, including the high flyers you mentioned in APC. They have not told anybody that they are running. They have not set up structure. I will conclude with this. Shortly after that, November 2020, I believe, Supreme Court judgment that pronounced Buhari the eventual winner of the 2019 elections. A former governorship aspirant in my home state of Anambra, who ran and came, I think, third or fourth in the 2017 PDP primaries, added me to a WhatsApp platform. What is the essence? That they are mobilizing for Atiku. And in protest and mobilizing for Atiku, Atiku just lost in the Supreme Court. And less than 2 months, they are creating channels of support groups where they are canvassing for his coming back in 2023. And I called him and said, I have to exit this WhatsApp group because I can't in good conscience. You know I campaigned for him all through, but I can't in good conscience at this stage start campaigning for him again, for him to take over from another Northerner. So I left, but I know that as of today, that group has made tremendous progress. And then in the early 2021, this year, I was added to another group, ATM, the Tambuwa movement. And I said, I left the first group in protest. Perhaps I should stay in this group and know what it is they are doing. I'm aware that they've done their national inauguration, picked coordinators from the 36 states of the Federation, shuttled them to Abuja and inaugurated them and tasked them with the job of going to replicate that in their states. In Anambra today, they have done their local government inauguration, which means that they now have 21 coordinators, strong politicians, grassroots people across the 21 local governments of the state. I'm also aware that in my own local government that they have done mobilization and have gotten people from the 10 wards in my local government. They have now asked these ward coordinators a mandate to raise 50 voters for this same movement. So people who want to run for office are doing grassroots job, mobilizing people, giving them, doing elections the way it is supposed to be done. We have one Igbo man on social media doing his own thing on social media, doesn't come down to engage with the voters, even people who are from the same town with him. I can guarantee you this, that if this same person you're talking about running for president comes down to run for the senatorial zone of our Senate, of our zone, that he will hardly have votes enough to take him to the Senate. Talk more of getting votes to run for president. So I advise our people to be serious-minded. Those who have what it takes to apply themselves to the system, fight and shout for it. And then you did say that people invited Buhari to come and run for office. It is true. But that invitation was extended to him because an opposition political party, desperate for power, needed someone who would give them the numbers. Buhari had done something in the north. I don't agree with him, but he has cultivated that following that gave them that invitation. No Southeasterner outside of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu has that kind of following in the Southeast. No Southeastern leader can be called or invited to indeed come and take this position. That's why those of us who want to make it happen should work hard for it. I so submit. Thank you for this platform and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Chima Christian. Let us listen to our guest, Ms. Briggs.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. After listening to Chima Christian, I really have to slant my my closing position a little bit. I say so because being an Igbo man, and let us be very clear, you people didn't invite me to speak on on a Nigerian platform of talking about the aspiration of the Igbo people for the presidency. What is it that you said? Powered, okay. Team, Nigeria 2023 and the quest for an Igbo president. So we're here, I was invited to share my opinions and points of either to say yes to the quest or support the quest for an Igbo president or not support the quest for an Igbo president. That was how I understood it. And since I'm not a politician, I am rather a rights advocate in all areas, political, environment, human rights, everything to do with justice. I advocate for it. And I believe that politics is about justice, especially in Nigeria. Politics is about what is right in Nigeria. There are many people in ethnic nationalities in Nigeria. And in my opinion, if we ignore the fact that ethnicity does play a role in the way Nigeria is governed. Well, let me not say that those people are not sincere. Let me say that if I did that, I would be unsincere to myself. Politics in Nigeria, as we have seen it recently, is about ethnicity. And I will not deny it. Neither will I be the person that will campaign for the ignoring, if you like, that is what politics in Nigeria is today. If I were a Niger Delta, as a Niger Delta person, if my person has governed for 8 years, the type of justice that I advocate for will not allow me to advocate that there can be no other person good enough to govern Nigeria again, except if that person comes from the Niger Delta region. I can't do that. So it is on that basis that I have stood in the past. I want to be perfectly understood, because the type of text WhatsApp messages I have received is astounding. I'm shocked at the type of messages I'm receiving. But it shows the impression that Nigerians, broad Nigerians, they're not just only from Igbo, they're from Niger Delta people, they're from Yoruba people, they're from Northerners, have sent about this program we're doing, I'm speaking on tonight. And it really is sad for me to have to accept that at the end of the day, if I continue to think that it is possible for Nigeria to be able to recognize, Nigerians to be able to recognize that they will be able to speak publicly on the things that they feel is not right about Nigeria in the majority, that it is not going to be possible. And that leads me to the conclusion, therefore, that it is not possible to change Nigeria by being intellectual or by driving justice and equity. Our people are so in tune to believing that as long as you're able to demonstrate that you're a good Nigerian, you therefore can quietly complain about the injustice within Nigeria. Well, if this conversation and the messages I have received has led me to totally agree with Chima Christian, and where he is come from the grassroots, is where I also have come from. And I do agree with him from his point that the way this whole thing is going, the argument that the presidency should be zoned to Igbo on the basis of that it is right that it should be zoned to them. That actually, so far, Igbo have not shown that they want the presidency because of so far the way that they have conducted themselves, and he has given us examples of that, which confirms the fact that it is not what you know or how good you are. So it's not even about merit anymore. It is about what you are able to do and get away with wrongly. That is going to push Nigeria even in 2023. So basically, therefore, the people like the Yorubas, some of the Yorubas that want Oduduwa, the IPOB, even my own people, my organization that want self-determination within or without, control of our resources, justice and equity. I think that's the way we have projected ourselves to the people that are determined to get away with what I seem to be complaining about. Sadly, they're going to get their own way. And I think that they will get their own way because our people have allowed them to get their own way. Because Baba Ahmed saying that the southern governors have said that the presidential slot must come to the south, therefore they will hold on to power for as long as they want. I don't know which is worse, what he said or what he's complaining about. I'm sure that you must recognize, let me not say that I am disappointed, but let me say that I am encouraged to feel free from here on, even though I believe that the presidency, and Mazi and I have discussed this, and I've told him that that is not should be the primary aim of us. But as long as they are going to pretend that they will have an election, I will definitely support a candidacy that will emerge from my view, that will be the right candidate. Because if you're fighting for a cause that is not primarily your cause, I'm not fighting, I'm not discussing the Niger Delta issue. And I've done some write-ups about recently, and done some interviews about when I was asked about this same question about Ndigo. And my position was very, very clear, and it went very far. To now find myself in a position where, as if like I'm being told, hey, stay away, that is not what we want. I think I'm not the only one who is hearing I'm not the only one who is hearing that message. Like I said, I've received a lot of messages, this evening on my phone. And I'll share some of them with you later.
Yeah, but sorry.
It's sad. It really, really is very, very sad. So basically, therefore, what we're going to see in 2023 is already concluded and done. And a northerner will definitely emerge from the APC, in my opinion. And a northerner, the way we're going, a northerner, the PDP has said that they've not even made up their mind. And if Tamboa, my younger brother, as I call him, Tamboa, is putting down this type of strength across the South, and he's achieved so much. And then Atiku, of course, whom I also definitely voted for and worked towards his emergence because of the fact that I believed that he will be better than Buhari. He too has, his structures never collapsed in these areas. His structures are also up. So basically, that is what is on ground. And people in the south, southeast, and southeast really don't have that type of structure. And they are the people that we're saying by equity should get it. I think even my people in the Niger Delta may even have more structures aiming for this. And so what will happen is either we will have a south-south or a southeast vice president, wherever the president will come from, whether it's Tinubu or whether it is Atiku or whether it is Tamboa. For me, this is one of the saddest interactions that I have had on the issue of equity and justice, political equity and justice. This night's discussion must go down for me as one of the saddest ones. I am disillusioned. I'm sad for the young minds of Igbo, for the future of Igbo, and for the suffering that we have endured in the Niger Delta, and the people of Igbo have endured. Definitely, there was a conquered and there was a winner. All this stuff about about no victor, no vanquished, this has always been nonsense, and it's playing out completely in 2023. I don't get anything else to say.
Has the moderator gone to sleep?
I think she may be as shocked as I am.
Well, in the absence of the moderator taking over here, I think, sister, I say do not be, let's not be swayed by a single opinion. Everybody have their, Nigeria is a nation that sometimes function in the most absurd ways. As we are speaking, I also had message of what they call the challenge. They said tell your guy to wear shorts. So so that's the challenge ongoing now. But that's a story for another day. I do understand what you say. I think some of these conversations, for the benefit of our audience watching globally, I would reserve some of my comments, but I will take some of these conversations offline, and even the points raised by Chima, Christian. Some of them, will be taken offline, because I do believe there are, when I hear some of these things and I sit back here, I say, well, I think some of us don't really understand what is happening behind the scene. But again, it's for now, it's not my job to make some of these things open. Let those who have the job to do and those being paid for, let them go ahead and do it. If the moderator is back, I would say then we may have to call it a day. Thank you.
Is she back?
So, moderator, can they?
I can see her, but I don't know if
is Augusta gone?
I can see her this thing, but I can't hear her. I can see her.
So, in that case, we have to stop streaming then.
Yes,
Okay, there she is.
thank you so.
You're gone again.
Okay, if the conversation, I offer my apologies because Samba is having a meeting today. So if you are
okay,
let us know whether the conversation is over.
Yes, you can stop streaming.
Is it